Okay, welcome back to the second video in this series of Adobe Illustrator tutorial videos for making decals for custom sports figures. So hopefully you've already checked out the first video on the basics of Adobe Illustrator, some of the tools and stuff that you're going to be using. This video is the one that a lot of people have been asking for, and this is how to make stripes. Shoulder stripes, pants stripes, helmet stripes. How do you make these in Illustrator so that when you print them out, they fit your figure perfectly? So that's what I want to cover in this video. So I'm going to go back and pull up this decal file that we started in the first video, doing a Devontae Adams. So we've already got our numbers and we've got our nameplate. Now we have to add some stripes. So let's start off with a real simple one, and that's the helmet stripe. Okay, so Packer helmet stripe, we've got a white stripe down the middle, flanked by green stripes on either side. So I already still have my green set as my fill color from when I was making these background swatches on the numbers. So I'm going to take my shape tool and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a long rectangle like so. All right, and then I'll come in, I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. All right, so now this will be our two outward stripes. Okay, so now I need to get a white stripe down the middle. Easiest way to do this is to select your green stripe here, do a copy, that's an edit, and hopefully you're using keyboard shortcuts. I cannot recommend that enough. So we're going to copy, and then we're going to do a paste in place. Okay, and what that did was just take our green rectangle and it pasted another one right on top of it. See, just like that. Okay, I'm going to do a Command Z to undo, put it back right on top. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to change this green stripe here to white. So this top one is already selected. I'm going to go over to my color palette over here and click on the white. And now I've got a white rectangle on top of a green rectangle. So now I want to bring this into the middle. Now I could do that by, eyeballing it and drag it in from the right, then drag it in from the left, but that's not going to be as precise. So I'm going to undo that. What I want to do is I want to grab this box here, and I want to hold down the Alt or Option key, and then as I click and drag in, it's going to pull both sides in equally. Okay, that's very important. And bring it in right about there and release, and there we go. Now I've got I got a really nice looking helmet stripe. So I might take a little bit off of that green yet. So I might select the green and do the same thing. Hold down Alt Option and drag it in just a smidge. Okay, there we go. Now I might decide that I want some of the helmet color also on the left and right, so I can kind of blend that in. Let's say I want to do that. I can go ahead and I'll click my green stripe again. I'm going to do a copy. I'll do a paste in place. Okay, and then I'll change that to sort of a Packer yellow here. Again, I'm just eyeballing the colors right now. Normally, if I was making a real decal file here, I'd make sure I'm following my Packer swatches. Okay, so now I've got the yellow. I'm going to extend this out a little bit, and then I need to send that to the back. So go up to Object and Arrange and Send to Back. There we go. Now we've got a really nice Packer helmet stripe. So I'm going to, with my black arrow here, my selection tool, I'm going to draw a box around it so I can select all of those objects. I'm going to group them together, Command G. And now this is one object, okay? And probably need to shrink that up a little bit. We'll cover sizing decals a little bit in this. Normally I would make sure that this is sized correctly. All right, so there's a really simple way to do your helmet stripes. Okay, next let's cover the shoulder stripes for the Packer. So we're gonna be going the other way here. So I'm gonna grab my shape tool. I want this green here, so I'm gonna go ahead and with my eyedropper, I'm gonna select this green. Okay, now I've got my green fill. Now we talked a little bit about this swatches palette in the first video, but we didn't really talk about how to use it. So I know when I'm working on this decal set, I'm gonna be referencing this green and this yellow a lot. So with this green highlighted over here, I can click and drag out of here, and I can drop this green into my swatch palette, you know, and I could do the same. If I grab this yellow, I can drag this yellow into the swatch palette as well. So I have those both quickly able to reference. Okay, so let's do Packer shoulder stripe. So I'm gonna start with another green rectangle, just like so. Then what I want to do is I need to grab, next is the yellow stripes, okay? So if I copy and paste in place, and then I'm going to change that to yellow, and then I'm going to bring that in a little bit, okay? Just like so. All right, I'm going to repeat that again. I'm going to copy this yellow. I'm going to do a paste in place. And next is green. And holding the Alt Option key, I'm gonna bring this rectangle in. Okay, I've got my yellow stripes, and then we need white through here. Okay, because right now we got the green. So I'm gonna copy this one. I'm gonna do a paste in place. And I need to change that to white. I'll grab that from my color palette up here. Then holding down the Alt Option key, I'm going to bring this in a little bit. And there we got a Packer shoulder stripe, okay? We got the green on the outside, so we can blend that in with the jersey. Then we got our two yellow stripes and our white down the middle, okay? I might shrink this up a little bit. There we go. And I might pull it out a little bit like this, okay? As long as I have them all selected, I can pull from any side and they all move together. I'll go ahead and group this. Now, a straight stripe like this is not going to wrap the way it should around the shoulder, okay? Or if this was a sock stripe, if you try to wrap this around the calf, it's not going to meet up in the back. You need to put a little bit of arch in this, okay? A couple ways to do that. I think the easiest way is just to use a real simple Illustrator effect. So if we go up to the effect window up here and we choose warp, we have arc. So I'm going to select that, and now these warp options pop up, okay? And you can change them on the fly here if you want an arc lower, arc upper. You have all these different effects that you can use on your object. Okay, we're just using a real simple arc. You're going to want to click this preview button so you can see exactly what's happening here. This is actually perfect here. -10 or 10 doesn't really matter whether it's arcing up or arcing down, because you can flip it either way after you cut it out. But 10% is probably a pretty good bend for your stripe. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK, and now we've got a arced stripe here. I can copy this, paste it. Okay, now I've got one for each shoulder, and I always try to make it longer than I need to, so I have a little bit extra on there. And I'm just gonna move these up here. Okay, so now let's do some pant stripes. Okay, these are the harder ones. Okay, and we're gonna be using the pen tool, and like I said, the pen tool has sort of a high learning curve, but if you wanna make perfect pant stripes, you're gonna have to get used to the pen tool. So what I need to do is I need to import a picture of the base figure that I'm going to be using for this figure. So what I want to do is I'm going to do a file and place. Okay. And I'm going to go into my customs folder, and I try to keep all my custom related stuff organized, and I recommend the same. I'm going to go into my decals folder, and I've got a folder called measurements. And in here I have pictures of a lot of the McFarlane figures. Okay, so we're gonna, for this example, we're gonna pretend that we're using the Randy Moss 2 figure. So I've got pictures of the Randy Moss 2 figure, all the different places where decals would go, and I've got a ruler in the shot. I'm gonna show you why that's important. So I will place this picture of legs, and I'm going to go ahead and grab the other one right away. And you can get your, I mean, there's different ways you can get your pictures into Illustrator. You can copy and you have this picture open in a different application, or if you're pulling in pictures from the internet, you can just copy them from a browser or from another application and paste them in here as well. You don't always have to use place. Okay, so now here's pictures of the moss legs. So I can draw the stripe to make sure that it follows the legs, okay? But I want to make sure that these are sized correctly, and when I print them out, all I have to do is cut them out and put them on the leg, and they're going to match up. So that's why having this ruler in the shot is so important. Okay, so I want to make sure that these are at 100%. And you can also, when you're taking these pictures, there's a way you can perfect resize them in Photoshop so that you know when you place them in here that they're already at 100%. But I even still like to double check. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my shape tool. Now, if you, with your shape tool selected, if you just click on the pasteboard, it's going to ask you how big do you want your rectangle to be. So I'm going to select 1 inch by 1 inch, and I'm going to hit OK. And now I have got a 1 inch square, and I'm going to go ahead and give that a black outline, and there we go. Now what I want to do is, and I'm going to take the fill off of here. Okay. I'm going to go and take this first picture here, and I'm going to kind of place it over my rectangle, and I'm just going to make sure that this 1 inch square matches 1 inch on this ruler. So I need to shrink this up just a little bit. And a little more. Okay, good. And then same with this one. Make sure you take nice clear pictures so you can see those inch marks. Okay, this one matches up, so we're good. Okay, I can go ahead and get rid of this. I'll leave that. Okay, now I'm going to be drawing over the tops of these two legs. I don't want them moving around, so I'm going to select both, and I'm going to lock them in place. Object, lock, and lock selection, or Command 2. Okay, so now I can't click or move these at all. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a classic packer stripe. Doesn't look much different than our helmet stripe, except that it's curved. Okay, so I'm going to start with yellow, so I have something to blend in with the pant. Then we'll do the green, and then we're going to do the white. Okay, so we're not going to be dealing with fills though. We're going to be dealing with strokes or outlines. So I want to click on the stroke to bring it forward, and go ahead and select yellow, my Packer yellow from my swatch palette. Now I've got a yellow stroke. So I'm going to grab the pen tool, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. There we go. Now I like to start above where the stripe needs to start, and I like to finish below where the stripe goes. Again, I want to give myself a little bit of extra decal, especially, you know, you can already see that we've got some wrinkles in here in the pant leg, and that's going to take up a little extra decal, so you want to make sure you have enough to play with. So I'm going to start by clicking above here, And then I'm going to click again at the top of the pant. And now I'm going to drag, and see I've got this little handle, and I'm going to come down, about this far, and then click here on the hip. And I'll release, and you can see a little sharp there. So I want to pull this handle in a little bit. Now, you can go back into the pen tool, click and hold, and get the different pen options, add point, delete point, or convert anchor point. You need this convert anchor point tool in order to pull these handles like this, but it is a pain to go back and forth to the toolbar. So I'm going to grab my pen tool again. If you hold down the Alt or Option key, depending on if you're on a Mac or on a PC, it'll convert your pen briefly into that convert anchor tool, so I can drag this handle. Okay. All right. So now that follows the original curve really nice. Okay. So I want to continue on here. So I'm going to go ahead, and as I get closer to my end point here, it's really hard to see, but it says the word anchor. It just means that we're going to anchor the next point onto the original curve so we can keep on going. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to go down about here, and as I give it a little pull, you can see nice little curve in the stripe there. We'll let go there. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to anchor again. And what I want to do is I'm going to hold down the Option key, and this way I'm only affecting the curve going out from here, okay? As opposed to also on the other side. So when I don't have the Option key held down, it's pulling what I've already set down on the other side of the point. So I'm going to hold down that Option key, and now I'm just controlling this handle, and I'm just controlling the curve of the stripe coming off of this anchor point. So I'm going to come out to about here, and then drop my point. And look at that. Okay, I can hold down the Alt Option key again and pull that handle in if I want to. Good. And then I will again anchor onto this last end point, and then just click out to about here or so, just a little bit beyond the pant leg. Now, it's really important that your first pass here is as close as possible, because it's going to be what we're going to build the rest of the stripes off of. So I'm going to go ahead and click my selection tool, make sure I've got the whole stripe selected here. Now I'm going to go over to the stroke palette. Remember, these lines are called strokes, and I'm going to add weight to this stroke here. So I'll just keep clicking up, and you can see it's getting wider, and I want to go beyond that purple. Remember, this is meant to be the pant leg. This is what I'm going to blend with. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I will select it, and just like we did with the helmet stripe, I'm going to copy. Okay, so Command C, and then I'm going to do Command Shift V, which is paste in place. No, excuse me. Command F. Paste right in front, like that. I want to change this color to green, so I'm going to go over to my swatch palette and select my green, and go to my stroke palette and bring that in a little bit. That looks good. Maybe 15. And I'm going to copy and paste in place and change that to white, and drop that stroke width like so. And look at that, I've got a perfect Packer stripe. So I know that when I print this and cut this out, I can lay this right down on the leg, and it's going to fit perfectly. It's going to follow the curve of the leg. All right, let's try to do that over here on this one. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to grab the pen tool. I'm going to make sure I want to start with my yellow over here. And I think we were at 15 is what that was at. I'm going to start above the pant leg, then click down to the top of the pant leg. Good. I think we were wider than that. I think 15 is what the green one was. So we'll just go ahead and increase it 25. Okay, so I'm gonna anchor on and pull down. And we'll go to about here. All right, that's a little too much, so I'm gonna pull this anchor back in. Good. Go ahead and anchor onto the end of your stroke here. And as I pull, I'm gonna pull down, holding down the Alt Option key. I don't have to pull the handle down too far. And I'll click here at the end of the pant leg. I can already see that that line is following that yellow curve real nice. And then we're gonna go just a little bit beyond the pant leg there. I might make some little adjustments there. Okay. Grab my selection tool, select my pant stripe. I'm gonna do a copy, paste in place, change that one to green. This one was 15, so we'll drop this down to 15. Good. Do one more copy, paste in place, change that to white. And now, I want to make sure it's the same width as this stripe here. I can also go and grab the eyedrop tool, and with this white stripe selected, go ahead and click on this white stripe. And not only does it pick up the color, it picks up the stroke width too, which is set to 5. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my selection tool to grab all these objects, and I'm going to group them with the Command G. And I'm going to group this one with the Command G. I'm going to zoom myself back out. And now I've got my 2 pant stripes. I don't need these on my decal sheet, so I want to unlock all. And now these are unlocked, so I can delete them. And I can organize my page a little bit more. Here and here. Okay, perfect.